I wasn't so worried about them. They were in their mid-30s with dyed blonde hair, and all they wanted to do was swap admiring glances. Sergei, Reggie and Ronnie would take on the target's Mercedes when they moved to pick him up. They too had AKs with armour-piercing rounds, and, like Sergei, enough body armour on to cripple a horse. I knew I could trust Sergei, but I still wondered about his selection procedure. He obviously wanted to keep most of the $200,000 I'd promised him from the $500,000 that was on offer to me, and had decided not to bring the A-team. It was the most unprofessional job I had ever been on. But fuck it. Desperation makes people do desperate things. Time for a radio check. Reaching into my jacket pocket, I felt for the send button of my Motorola. All 6 of us had one, connected to an earpiece like hands-free sets. I pressed twice, the squelch sounding off in my ear. Reggie and Ronnie replied with 2 squelches, then Carpenter and Nightmare with 3. While Sergei had gone for the Michelin Man look, I was the businessman. Suit, dark overcoat, leather gloves. Nightmare and Carpenter were dressed the same. We had to move about the hotel without anyone giving us a second glance. My overcoat concealed my body armour. Sergei's might be as thick as paving slabs, but mine consisted of thin sheets of Kevlar, enough to see off the mini Uzis. Carpenter had refused to wear any because it wasn't manly, and Nightmare had followed suit. Fucking mad. I was carrying a South African Z88 with 20-round extended mags, but if things went to plan, I wouldn't even be drawing down. I heard 6 squelches in my earpiece. The pickup mercs were mobile towards the hotel. It was time to start performing. Sergei nodded. I got out and the cold turned my cheeks to porcelain. Pulling up my coat collar, I took a right turn along to the next T-junction. That put me on the road adjacent to the hotel and down to the main drag again. I could see the Intercontinental on the left as I walked downhill. 30 metres short of the main drag, I hit the driveway. I turned left, and halfway along the concrete and glass building was a large blue canopy. The plan was simple. Nightmare and Carpenter were to kill the close bodyguards who were protecting the target as he came from the lift, then cover me as I took the target towards the main doors. While this was happening, the Craytons would have blocked off the rear of the mercs. Sergei would block the front, and all 3 would control the other bodyguards and drivers. Once outside, I'd head for the Nissan with the target. Sergei would drive to the drop-off point, where the target would be switched to a changeover vehicle. Meanwhile, Ronnie and Reggie would be giving the area the good news with CS Gas before moving in the Toyota with the other 2. We'd RV near the border and get into a truck that was rigged to hide us all while Sergei drove us into Mother Russia. I walked through the 2 sets of automatic glass doors, and my face flushed from the blast of the heaters. The foyer had the air of an expensive club. 30 metres in front of me, and behind a group of very noisy Japanese tourists, was the reception desk. In the far right-hand corner was a corridor that led to the restaurant, toilets and lifts. Immediately to my right, behind a wood-panelled wall, was the Baltic Bar. To my left, bellboys were buzzing around a sprinkling of sofas, chairs and coffee tables. I headed for one of the sofas. Sitting down, facing the Japanese confusion at reception, I spread out my Herald Tribune on the coffee table. 3 minutes later, the headlights of the mercs raked the ground floor windows. I concentrated on my newspaper. You always avoid eye contact, because they'll be looking for it. If your eyes locked, you're fucked. In came the bodyguards. 2 pairs of shiny Italian shoes, expensive black cashmere overcoats. I watched their heels to the lift doors. They were going to meet up with the 2 other bodyguards who were already in the suite with Valentin, their principal, my target, my money. I got up. As I moved towards the Baltic Bar, I could see the 3 mercs on the other side of the glass. The bar was leather booze and dark wood and half full. I made my way to the far door and seated myself where I could see down the corridor to the lift doors. 5 very long minutes went by as lifts came and went. There was another ping from the lifts. The 2 pairs of expensive Italian shoes emerged, disappearing from view to cover the foyer. I gave the Motorola 6 clicks. There was a ping from the far right lift. Another 2 pairs of black leather shoes, dress suit trousers. They stepped out on either side of a light grey cashmere coat, then the world's most luxuriant mink, Val's slapper. They turned right out of the lift without hesitating.